Subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for watching more video.
Requirements are one of the most important results of business analysis. In this module, we're going to discuss these pesky things, what they are, why they're important, what different flavors they are, and why those flavors are critical to the success of your project. Understanding what requirements are is essential knowledge for the one wearing the business analysis hat. What is a requirement? In the world of business analysis, a requirement defines a feature that a future solution has to enable, such as cloud access, a function that a future solution has to execute, like calculate savings, a fact that a future solution has to enforce, i.e. IRS regulation XYZ, or a quality that a future solution has to exhibit, as in access to a file in 1 second. Requirements are the foundation upon which information systems are built, and, just like a building, if the foundation is not solid, the building will not stand. Fundamentally, a requirement is how we communicate what the builders or buyers of the solution need to build or buy. This gets us fully into the world of human communication with all its misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and misrepresentations. Finally, what requirements are depends to some degree on the software development methodology, or SDM, that your organization uses, and where in the development lifecycle you are. In an agile SDM, requirements are fundamentally negotiable, whereas in a traditional, waterfall or iterative SDM, changes are only allowed within a rigorous change management process. To reduce the problems of communication between those who want a solution and those who can provide it, the International Institute for Business Analysis, or IIBA, in its Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, BABOK, defines 4 fundamental types of requirements. Business requirements define the goals and objectives that the organization as a whole strives to achieve. Stakeholder requirements are the specific needs and wants of groups or individuals within the organization. Solution requirements are the functions and qualities that a solution has to encompass to be accepted. Transition requirements define attributes and actions necessary to implement the new solution in the existing organization. As you can see, each type of requirement expresses a different level of detail. Business requirements are very high level, and a typical project will address very few. Business requirements beget stakeholder requirements, beget solution requirements. A typical project needs many stakeholder requirements to specify the business requirements from the perspective of the people involved. Solution requirements turn the focus of the stakeholder requirements toward the solution technology. There can be a very large number of solution requirements. Finally, transition requirements define components of the solution that only exist to replace the current solution as it exists today. Let's look at each type in more detail. The executive level within the organization usually defines the business requirements. Their primary purpose is to prioritize and resource projects. Complete, simple sentences, potentially with collaborating explanations and cross-references, charts and diagrams are the preferred modes for expressing business requirements. In an agile environment, they may be expressed as epics, features, or user stories. The default recommended structure for a good business requirement textual statement follows the mode to achieve a business outcome, the organization or a group within, need, want, will, should, do something. For example, to maintain our leadership role within the industry, BA Expert needs to increase gross online sales by 15% this fiscal year. Or, to increase our customer retention, the claims department needs to reduce claims processing time from 10 days to 4 days by the end of the third quarter. Stakeholder requirements express the needs and wants of one or more stakeholders and how they will interact with a solution. Stakeholder requirements bridge business and solution requirements. Interviews, joint requirements planning or JRP sessions, and user story workshops are common tools for gathering stakeholder requirements, which should be self-authored by the various stakeholders. Ideally, stakeholder requirements limit premature technology decisions, meaning they express what is needed, not how it will be achieved. Some exceptions apply. For instance, if the goal of the project is to migrate functionality to a website, the use of terms such as online, via the internet, etc. are acceptable. Stakeholder requirements can be expressed as simple statements, spreadsheets, user views, models, epics/user stories, business use cases, workflows, etc., with or without models or diagrams. A commonly used structure for a simple textual stakeholder requirement has evolved into a format known as a user story. Although user stories originated in an agile SDM, they have proven to be valuable for any SDM. They follow the format: as a stakeholder/group, I or we can or cannot do, know, or have something to achieve my goal or objective. For example, as a customer, I can browse the current product catalog to select items that I want to buy. Another example, as a website visitor, I can view the cost of coverage for each insurance provider to select the cheapest. Note that this structure assumes that the proposed solution already exists. Solution requirements describe specific characteristics of a solution that meet business and stakeholder requirements and come in two flavors. Solution functional requirements define what the solution has to do or know. Solution quality requirements, more commonly, albeit misleading, non-functional requirements, define characteristics that any solution must exhibit for it to be acceptable. The most common sources of solution requirements are the analysis of business and stakeholder requirements, analysis of existing IT systems, and associated stakeholder interviews, including in particular here the IT group. Common examples for expressing functional solution requirements are lists of functions, typically in verb/object form, solution use cases, detailed user stories, lists of data elements, prototypes or mock-ups of user views, process diagrams, data models, activity diagrams, class models, etc. Because the solution requirements are close to the technology, the representation should be easy for the developers to use. Typical functional solution requirements include the steps of a process, including sequence, decisions, alternatives, exceptions, and responsibilities, i.e., calculate total charges including delivery costs and taxes. Business rules, including calculations, derivation rules, authority levels, and event responses, i.e., do not ship goods to customers with overdue accounts. Business data components, including user views, relationships, and metadata, the monthly aging report. The most common form for expressing quality solution requirements are complete, simple sentences describing a quality in measurable terms. Typical quality solution requirements address things like legal requirements, service level agreements, contractual obligations, audit requirements, internationalization requirements, corporate standards, reliability, availability, throughput, maintainability, flexibility, scalability, portability, and usability. Transition requirements describe capabilities needed to integrate the proposed solution into the existing environment. They describe capabilities that the solution must have to facilitate getting from the as-is to the to-be, but will not be needed once the new solution is in production. Initially defined in complete sentences, other viable forms for expressing detailed transition requirements are interfaces, database conversions, workflow designs, process models, data models, job descriptions, training programs, and job aids. A thorough understanding of the selected solution and of the current environment ultimately dictates the transition requirements. This implies that it is impossible to finalize the transition requirements before the design of the selected solution is complete. Examples of transition requirements are: sales personnel must attend the 2-day new customer acquisition program prior to using the new sales support system. All existing customer data will be maintained in both the old and the new database format until the end of the first quarter. All 4 levels of requirements create a complete picture of the solution that both the business community and the developer community can understand. As you see here, business requirements lead to stakeholder requirements, lead to solution requirements, lead to transition requirements. Interestingly, the picture also illustrates that the transition requirements actually feed into the new business requirements. This typifies the fact that the business changes once the new solution is in use. This change will have an impact on future business requirements based on the new situation. In addition, the picture illustrates the risk of missing any particular category of requirements. If you remove one category of requirements, the ensuing gap represents a major risk to the success of the project. This does not imply that the number of requirements has to be enormous for the project to succeed. The volume of requirements has to be right at the right time for the size and complexity of the project, and depends heavily on the level of detail they express. The level of detail is a question of timing. In an agile SDM, details are discussed incrementally as late as possible, while in a traditional SDM, they are captured in the requirements definition document during the analysis phase of the project. Nonetheless, the buy-in and understanding of all requirements by the appropriate target audiences at a sufficient level of detail is crucial to implementing any viable solution. As you can now appreciate, the ultimate answer to the question, what is a requirement, is that it is definitely non-trivial.